Hey guys, welcome back to Team Toasty TCG. If it's your first time, welcome to Team Toasty TCG. Make sure to like and subscribe. Today, I just want to talk to you guys about the future of the Thunder Dragon deck. I know I haven't talked about this deck all format, and now the format's coming to a bit of an end. I feel like it's time to talk about the game in general and how the game is going to change, how the game is going to change Thunder, and what we need to do to adapt to everything that we have coming at us right now. So before I begin, I just want to go over the deck list that I've worked on over this whole format, just to show you guys what I've come up with and give you some ideas. So when we start off, we have the basic Thunder Dragon package, and I'm going to discuss what has changed since Colossus getting banned. So, we have your standard Matrix, the Duo, Thunder Dragon, your Roars, your 3 Dark. Now, the main changes here are that we have 2 Duo and 2 Hawk. Now, previously, the game plan was to play 3 Hawk, 1 Duo. But what has changed here is Hawk, you use its effect, you get your Dark, you get your Roar, and then you tribute into Colossus. We don't have that option anymore. We can't do that anymore. So Hawk isn't as good because the main thing was Hawk was a very good top deck. It was a very good extender when you banish your fusion, you search your Hawk, because that way you get all your effects. Now, instead, you banish your fusion, you search your Duo, because now your Duo will still banish your Dark, it'll still put Dark in the grave, it'll do everything that Hawk was doing with Colossus, only it's still putting a monster on the field and you're still getting your effects. Now, that's the main changes that we've made to the engine. Everything else is still all 3 ofs. So, to sum it up, Hawk isn't as good anymore, and Duo is the better option now. Onto our extenders, we still play Aloof, but we bumped him up to 3, and we still play 3 Solar. Now, the reason being is you need as many starters as possible, and Aloof is actually insane now. We have a lot of Link 2s that we can go into. I know back in my previous video for the Catskill Regional, I mentioned that Aloof wasn't as good because it just wasn't as good as a starter as Solar was. But now Aloof is actually a better starter because of how many Link 2s we have to choose from that actually do things. And now Solar still dumps your Roar, get you your Hawk summons your Roar, or you can potentially just banish your Roar and something else for your Duo. So Solar is still very good, but Aloof has become the better option. Next up, we still play your 3 Phantazmay. This is still very, very good to go with, and he has become more affordable. He is about $15 in Dual Overload versus the $100 secret rare he used to be. But if you're still looking to get a little high value, pricey, like Flex, he's still a $40 secret rare. But as I mentioned, we're talking about what's going to change in the future. We're not talking deck list. So this card will likely go into the side deck, if not getting cut completely come April, for a different hand trap. Now, the hand traps that we have as options, we still have your Impermanence, you have Ghost Spell, you have Ash Blossom, you have Drool Unlock, you have Ghost Ogre, you have Veiler, you still have DD Crow, I just couldn't find him in wherever I put him. You still have all those cards, but Phantazmay will not be main decked in the future. Unless there's a very explosive Link spamming deck, even after April, but I really, really don't think so. Next up, we're actually playing 2 Lunas. Now, for some reason, people are calling this my spicy tech option, when it really isn't, because with your Luna, your Solar dumps your Roar, and then your Luna banishes your Roar. It's all very pretty simple. Then you get your Roar effect, you summon it, you get your Solar token. It's all very standard. I've really been hearing people tell me that this card's very spicy when it's not. It's just a very basic card right now, and it's just another like semi-starter, like extender. You can see this card at pretty much any time in the game, and it's still pretty good. Now, the card that I feel is the Spice Tech is the one of Gizmek Orochi. Now, the reason being is you can discard this card for your nightmares. If you run a Super Poly, you can discard it for that. And it's just a card that helps you get into your OTK. So you summon this, you have your 2450 body, you can do this in your battle phase, so you can kind of like bait your opponent into putting themselves just where this card can kill, and then you summon it. Versus in the past, where your opponent can kind of like play around all your monsters and not lose. So you have all this, like, this card's just very, very versatile. And it also has 200 or 2450 on defense. So if you need that to like save yourself, you have that as well. On to the spell lineup. We have gone from 2 to 3 fusion. You need to see this card, you need to have like your Dark can search it, but you really do need to see your fusion app. Your fusion facilitates all of your after your first turn, this card facilitates all your turn 2, turn 3 plays, because every turn you're going to banish it, you're going to search your duo, or you're going to search your hog, you're going to search your something that's going to get you to your next combo. Now, this can also search your solar, of course. It searches any thunder in the deck, so whatever card you need, this is what's going to get you there. You can also search Hawk still, so keep that in mind. You can realistically, any card that you need to get into your hand for the turn, this card's going to get you there. Now keep in mind, in the late game, you will want to search your Roar, because your Roar can discard itself and add fusion back to your hand. The 1 gold Sarcophagus. This has been the day 1 card. You still just banish whatever thunder you need, get your effect. It's very just simple. Next up is the 3 instant fusions. This is another card we can expect to have either go to 1 or go to 0, and we might just end up cutting it either way. So this is something you guys are going to have to prepare for with another extender. It's something that you can either play, like, once again, you play another hand trap, but you can also, like, main deck Super Poly. There's a lot of different things that we can come up with just to replace this card. But that's an if this happens scenario. Otherwise, we're still doing instant fusion for Thousand Eyes or Kaminari attack. It's still very, very mandatory. Next up, 3 allures. Draw 2, banish Dark from your hand. If you hit the Roar, you hit the Dark, you get her extender. It's still a pretty simple card that we're still going to keep playing. Now, the reason that Impermanence wasn't in those hand trap lineup that I showed you guys is because we're playing it at 3. So once again, very good hand trap. Once Phantazmay needs to get cut, this is another option for you guys to main deck if you're not already, or any other hand trap that you guys want to play. Keep in mind though, Impermanence is $20 from the Dual Overload set, so make sure to pick those cards up right now. Make sure anything that you're looking to buying, it is a very good time to buy cards because things are going down. There's a hold on all the regionals, all the YCSs. Every event for Yu-Gi-Oh! Is on hold, so that means there's not a lot of people that are buying competitively. So now's a good time to get to buying your cards. So onto the extra deck. We're going to start with the Link monsters. We still play our 1 Linkuriboh. This is still something where you can normal summon your egg, link your egg into your Linkuriboh, or you can summon Thousand Eye Restrict off instant fusion. Then after you use its effect, make your Linkuriboh. You can still do all those plays. So this is still something that you want to play. Next is a Nightmare Phoenix. This was something I don't believe I played at the Catskill Regional, but you can see that this card is just very good now. There's a lot of situations where you can actually get your Phoenix's draw card effect, because keep in mind the effect of Solar. Your Solar token is a level 1. So when you make your level 1 token, you make that into a Link Haribo, you make your Thunder Dragon Dark and Solar into your Phoenix, you pop something, you draw a card. Phoenix is very good right now. There is a lot of cards that are back row heavy, a lot of back row heavy decks where they're setting the Super Poly against you, they're setting their back row cards against you. There's a lot of back row cards right now. So Phoenix, keep in mind, is a very good card. Now, on to the next card that we did not have at Catskill, the Cross Sheep. This card is crazy. It's Norden in the form of a Link monster. You fusion summon to a zone it points to, you get a level 4 out of your graveyard. Now, you really only want to use this card's effect when you're going into a Link 4. If you're not going into a Link 4, your Link 2 that you want to go for is IP Masquerena. This is, keep in mind, any monsters besides Link monsters. You cannot use Link monsters to make IP. But the good thing is, she can link on your opponent's turn. And when you link on your opponent's turn, you're likely going to go for Nightmare Unicorn. Once again, another very standard card. Shuffle a card away by discarding a card. Now, we're also still playing the Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This is something that has been very versatile, this format and the previous format. Can't be targeted, can't be destroyed by card effects when we make it, because we usually use Titan to make it, and that is a level 7 or higher monster, which Blackluster Soldier requires to get all of its effects. Now, onto our Link 4s. We are playing the Borolo Dragon, the Boral Sword Dragon, OTK out of the extra deck. Now, we're also playing Saryuja Skulldread, because keep in mind, if you open Solar and Luna, that is 4 names right there. So you get your draw 4. And then finally, the Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess. Like I mentioned, your Cloth Sheep can get you to a Link 4. You fusion summon with Instant Fusion, or your Thunder Dragon Fusion, you can get to your Link 4. But keep in mind, you usually don't want to link your Titan away that early into the game, so your main game plan is to hold the Instant Fusion. Get to your Cloth Sheep while you still have Instant Fusion on your hand, and that's when you use your Instant Fusion. Then you get your Cloth Sheep, you go into a Link 4, use your Thunder Dragon Fusion, you go into your Titan, and then you can end on Appaloosa Titan, or you can go Boral Sword Titan, Boral Titan. Next up are Instant Fusion targets. Very standard, Kaminari attack. You can banish the Kaminari attack and a Thunder out of your hand for Thunder Dragon Titan summon condition, and Thousand Ire Strix, suck a monster off your opponent's field. And finally, our 3 Thunder Dragon Titan, the main, the centerpiece of the entire deck. Now, you guys may have noticed, I don't know if you did, but I'm actually having a 38 card deck in front of you right now. The reason being is those last 2 cards are completely interchangeable. You can have your floodgates, like Skill Drain, Defissure, Macrocosmos. See, I personally play 41 cards because that 1 card off ratio really doesn't affect consistency at all, but if you prefer to play 40 cards, you can still do that. Now, other options that I've looked into, as I've been mentioning in the video so far, you can still play your main deck Super Poly, and you can also do things like Double Desires or Levianeer, however you prefer to fill in those last 2 to 3 spots of your deck. You have those options. You can have another hand trap, you can go about it however you want to go about it. Now, onto the side deck. We have 3 evenly matched, very standard. This card's been good, this card's been great since day 1. Now, to rival the evenly match, we actually have Triple Lightning Storm. For those of you who don't know what this card does, it is still roughly new. It is a Harpy's Feather Duster or a Mirror Force from your hand. But the thing is, you have to control no face-up cards. If you control any face-up cards, you cannot Lightning Storm. And when I say Mirror Force, I say that because Lightning Storm only destroys attack position monsters. So I didn't want to say, oh, it's Raigeki, because it really is not. Your opponent can play around this card by just summoning their monsters in defense position. So if the card looks like this, your Lightning Storm is not helping you. Next up, 3 Nibiru. This is a combo ending card. Your opponent does their plays, you Nibiru them, you tribute off their whole field, you summon a big rock. Then you give them their big rock token. Next up is the 3 Twin Twisters. We're still playing this card even in 2020. This card is still a quick play spell that destroys 2 spells on the field. Spells or trap cards. Now once again, this is a 12 card side deck because the last 3 cards are completely interchangeable. Like I've shown you guys already, you have your super polys, you have your hand traps, things like Droll and Lockbird is something you can side deck. You have pretty much anything that you want to put in there. You also have Dark Ruler No More. Your options with those last 3 spots are really limitless. It comes down to player preference. So however you want to side, it's up to you, but I believe this is the best way to side with this deck. You want to have very high impact cards. Cards that do a very lot all on their own, because your last 4 cards still need to extend your plays, do a combo, something like that. So you can still play your Floodgates, you can still play your Dark Rulers, your Hand Traps, your Drool and Locks. However you prefer to finish the side deck, it's all up to you. Now, let's talk about the future of Thunder Dragons, like I've been mentioning. So first off, you have your Union Carrier. For those of you who don't know what this card does yet, you can target any monster on your field. It does not have to be a card that Union Carrier points to. Any monster. And then equip from your hand or your deck any monster with the same type or attribute. So if you have your Titan, say that you have your extra deck monster up there, and your Titan wherever you want, because after April you can summon to any zone. You are not restricted to the extra monster zone. So you have your Titan way over there, for example. Your Union Carrier can still just take any monster out of your deck, any Thunder monster or any Light monster, and equip it. So if you equip your Thunder Dragon Dark to the Titan, Titan will gain 1,000 attack from Union Carrier, and then it also makes Titan a bit of a ticking time bomb. See, if your opponent does what they do to remove the Titan, you'll now get the effect of your Thunder Dragon Dark because it leaves the field. So keep that in mind. You can also still send your Thunder Dragon Roar, your Egg, your Hawk. You can still do that however you want. Now, also keep in mind that with Union Carrier, if you equip that monster from your deck, I believe the restriction is you cannot special summon monsters with equip name for the rest of the turn. But that's really not a big deal, because if we equip Dark to the Titan, chances are we've already used Dark's effect for that turn, we've already summoned Dark, we don't need to worry about those things. Now, on to the next one is Artifact Dagda. Now, the reason I want to talk about this card is there are a lot of Thunder Dragon players that do run an Artifact engine. Now, this card is kind of like a Sanctum from your extra deck. What it does is if a card or effect activates on the field, quick effect, set a artifact from your deck to the spell and trap zone, but destroy it in your opponent's end phase. Now, what makes this card so good is you can set your Scythe from your deck, and then on your opponent's turn, your Titan can pop it, getting your Scythe effect, summoning it, locking your opponent out of the extra deck. It's almost like we're playing the Dragon Buster card. Now, once you do that, like I mentioned, your opponent's locked out of their extra deck. It will become very difficult for them to get rid of the Titan. You now have 3 monsters on the field, so you can make a Link 4 from there. You can get your Fusion to search your duo, do all your plays again, and then just OTK from there. This card does set up a lot of neat interactions with Titan. The only downside to it is I'm not a big fan of the Artifact engine, but if you feel like the Artifact engine is the way that you like to play the deck, then Artifact Dagda might be the card for you to try out. Now, finally, we have the card everyone's been talking about, Predaplant Verde Anaconda. Now, this card is incredible for the deck. It fixes a lot of problems that we have. So what it does is you can pay 2,000 life points and send any card with fusion in its name to your grave, or any fusion spell, and then Verde will apply its activated effect. Now, when I mean activated effect, I mean the effect that activates, well, the effect that you get when you activate the card. Now, let's talk about instant fusion. So instant fusion says to activate the card, you must pay 1,000 life points, and then at the end phase, destroy the card summoned by instant fusion. Now, the activated effect is to summon your level 5 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck. Paying 1,000 life points is not the activated effect, and the card being destroyed at the end phase is not the activated effect. So neither of those effects apply. You summon the level 5 monster out of your extra deck, it will not be destroyed in the end phase. It can attack, and you don't pay 1,000 life points. So Verde pretty much overrides all the restrictions that fusion spells might give you, and you just get the effect that happens when the card is activated. Now, what makes this card very good is you can send your Thunder Dragon Fusion to the graveyard. So if you do all your combos correctly and you end on a field like you have your Titan, and you for some reason you can't get into IP, or you can't get into Cloth Sheep, or you don't have the material to make Cloth Sheep as good as it can be, you can make your Verde Anaconda. And now you can do 2 fusions, getting you double Titan. So those are just some choices that we have to keep in mind now. Because going forward, the game is going to change very much. These 3 cards that I've shown you alone are very impactful to the game, as is the Crystron Halifibrax. This card, unfortunately, I don't see any utility in it to play in Thunder Dragons. Not to say the card isn't great, the card is fantastic, just not in Thunder Dragons. If I am missing something, however, you're welcome to drop something in the comments that I'm missing, and I'll discuss it in a future video or something like that. But at the moment, I don't see really any utility for Needle Fiber, so we're just not even going to bother with it. Now, these 3 are the cards to think about. Consider your options, what you're going to do. We are going to focus more on just Link 2 plays that get us to Titan, or Link 2 plays that make Titan a better card, things like that. We're going to focus less on the Link 4 plays that the deck has. So, since I mentioned as before, we're not playing the Artifact Engine. I'm not going to worry about Dagda. I really don't have the room for the Artifact Engine, and like I mentioned, I've just never really used it before, so I'm not like the biggest fan. So what we're going to cut to keep our new Link 2s in is likely the Skull Dread and likely the Borreload. So keep in mind that when you make a Link 4 in this deck, it's usually your 1 Link 4 play for the turn. So when you make your Skull Dread and you get that effect, it's not really winning you the game, and it's not really preventing your opponent from doing too much, like Appaloosa and Borrelsword do. So that's a reason enough to cut your Skull Dread. As for Borreload, it's just the worst of the 2 cards. Borrelsword is just infinitely better in almost any situation. So I'm just not a fan of Borreload. The card was pretty amazing when it first came out, but it's just not that good for combo decks anymore, like what we play. But it's still a good card. But Borrelsword for our deck is just better. So I would say those are the 2 cards that we're going to cut. And going forward, we can play Verde Anaconda, and we can play Union Carrier. These are 2 cards that I'm going to consider for my combos, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Is Artifact Dagda something you're going to try out, or Union Carrier, or Anaconda? What plays are you thinking of? What combos do you have concocted up? Let me know in the comments where you think Thunder Dragons are going, but I feel like we're heading towards a more Link 2 variant of the deck where you're going to be playing all these Link 2s, summoning your Titan pretty much every turn now, things like that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is ToastyTCG signing out.